What is up, YouTube? Trollkin here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Drawface. And today's video, guys, my god, dude, we got a Lee Sin deck. I have no idea why I was sleeping on Lee Sin for so long. I had so much fun playing with him. Lee Sin plus Udyr is insane, I think, and I just wanted to really showcase this deck because it is not seen in tournaments. It's not really seen on a lot of just casual play, and just wanted to put it out there that just because, there's certain decks winning tournaments and stuff, doesn't mean you shouldn't give up on some other legends and some other cards, except for Garen. Garen is trash. Sorry, Garen. One day you'll be good. But before we get into the deck list, if you haven't already, please subscribe. I greatly appreciate support, and you automatically enter yourself to win a Proving Grounds box set if we reach 500 subscribers. So click a button, you might win something, and if you do, awesome, and you can play with your friends for up to 3 people because it's meant for 4 players. So all right, so let's just get straight into it because I really like this deck list. This build is really cool. So we're playing the legend Bodycom domains, green and orange, right? Lee Sin, blind monk. You spend a rune, right? You tap it and you buff a friendly unit. Now it's not a terrible ability, but it's not like also their abilities I find that are better, because just giving one extra might on some things is decent. It's not incredibly powerful, but it's just okay. However, there are cards that synergize by spending buffs. In one particular Udyr, insane card. Once you can just spam buffs onto it and then use it just to do all these crazy things. And the color combo is actually really good. Green has good stuff, and orange has the best cards, I think, for a domain in the game so far. We're running 6 calm and 6 I can't click on it, and 6 body runes, so fair 6-6 split, nothing too crazy. The battlefields will be Grove of the God Willow. When you hold here, draw 1. You are often holding because you have big dudes and Lee Sin and stuff just chilling onto a battlefield, and if you can draw 1, that's very good. Targon's Peak, for when you conquer, you can ready 2 runes, so it can react with disciplines and maybe a challenge or stuff like that. Then the last battlefield will be Monastery of Hirana. When you conquer here, you may spend a buff to draw 1. Yeah, it's good. You have buffs, right? You have 3 different sources to buff your units. So if you can hop out back to the battlefield and you spend your buff, draw a card, and you can rebuff it very easily. The one champion unit or one chosen champion unit that we were playing is Lee Sin Ascetic, right? 5 energy, 1 power, 5 might, shield 3, which is hard to get over. And you tap it, you can buff it, and I can have any number of buffs. So it is an infinite potentially amount of buffs that you can give to him. So even with 1, and if it's defending, that is a 9 might unit because of the shield plus 3, and you can just buff it and buff and buff it. It's not really the main star of the deck, right? However, if you have this on your base, right, and you can get it pretty big through various sources of buffing, then it becomes a huge threat where they're gonna have to spend some heavy removal and or just do nothing because it's just too powerful, right? Next, we are running 2 of Charm. You guys should know what this is. For 1 energy, 1 power, move an enemy unit. So if you're holding, right, and they're building up an army, you pull things into the battlefield. If you're holding, getting rid of the stuff, or if you want to conquer, right, when they have just a little more might, then you can just move them away and then kind of double conquer for the game. Very strong card. Very I wouldn't even say it's underrated. It's just everybody knows that this card's extremely good. We are running 2 Mask of Winning the Games. I'm sorry, Mask of Foresight. Yeah, this card's insane if you're holding alone, because it stacks too, right? So for 2 energy, when a friendly unit attacks or defends alone, give it +1 this turn. So let's just say, for instance, you're on a battlefield, right? And you attack, right? It gets the +1. Then if you can somehow move it over into another battlefield or charm a enemy unit back onto the battlefield for a second showdown, the +1 stacks. Because a new showdown is initiated, a new attack phase is initiated. So you can get, +3 sometimes if you're using Udyr correctly and moving enemy units and ganking over. So yeah, incredibly strong. If you're not building a swarm deck, right, you should at least have this, if not in your sideboard, because that +1, That breakpoint is so crucial, and the fact that it stacks is insane as well. We are also running 3 of Pit Rookie. You guys should be pretty familiar with this. 2 energy for 2 might. When you play me, buff another friendly unit. Yep, so you don't have to, like, if this is the only 2 drop in your hand in the beginning of the game, play it. You don't necessarily need to wait to combo this with something. But if you do, that's great. You play it, you develop 3 might on board for 2, which is really good from what the game is now. Moving along, we are playing Riftbound. We have a Riftbound deck, so we play Poros. The Poros are really good. All the Poros are good, I like. I think the deflect one is good. The vision one's good. All of them are good. So you guys should be pretty familiar with this card. 2 energy, 2 might. Shield 1 gets up to 3. If you buff it, it gets up to 4. Defending. Just a really good early game card to get some points. That's basically what they're there for. Next, we are running Disciplines. Also a very familiar card you guys should be familiar with. 2 energy, right? Reaction speed, give a unit +2 this turn to draw 1. Either offensively or defensively, this is like one of the best buff cards in the game just for that turn. 2 might and draw a card for only 2. And remember, with Targon's Peak, if you're conquering there by the end of the turn, you're refreshing 2 runes. Is it 2 runes? Ready 2 runes? Yep, exactly. It is 2 runes. So yeah, you are able to use Targon's Peak as a beneficiary for Disciplined to untap. Challenge. Your Lee Sin is sitting on your bake and it's getting pretty beefy, and maybe sometimes you're going against that Misfortune matchup where they have a Dazzling Aurora around. So challenge becomes really, really, really good. Also, sometimes, like before you want to move in, you can challenge it, right? They all heal back up. And then they go in for the attack, and you can still conquer the battlefield, or you can use it defensively. And yeah, it's just a good way to fight things that are sitting on base. If a Lux is on base for your opponent, and you need to challenge something, any annoying cards like Victor, the one that creates recruit units when a friendly unit of theirs dies. Yeah, just good removal. Solid. We are running 3 of those. Zonia's Hourglass. Now, one of the key, I would say it's like a key card in the deck, right? For 2 reasons. One, you can hide it, right? Or you could just play it in your base as a gear, right? For 2 energy. The next time a friendly unit would die, kill this instead. Recall that unit exhausted. Send it to the base. This isn't a move. Now, one important thing. So you really have to kind of game plan this, right? If you know this isn't a hidden card on a battlefield, or if it's just on your base, you have to maneuver your game well enough to know that one of the cards that you want to come back will die first, right? If everything dies on the battlefield during a showdown with a couple units, then you actually get to choose, right? Because damage resolves all at once. However, in those instances where you want to take over a battlefield and you're sending the Poro, it dies. This will actually trigger, opposed to if you want something else. And another thing is that they've actually clarified the rules on recalling. You do not lose buffs with recall. It is not a move. Your units don't die, right? And they don't come back. Recall it's just moving it. It just gets like summoned back to your base, kind of like League of Legends, like the recall button where you go back to your base, but you hold all your items. Same thing. So that is really good. This card got a lot better with that clarification of that rule. So yeah, getting going into a battlefield, even though it would have died. Zonia's Hourglass saves it and it goes back to base with all the buffs. So if you have Lee Sin and you have like 6 buffs on it, it comes back to your base after losing the showdown with the 6 buffs. So this card got a lot better. We're running Wielder of Water, right? For 3 energy, 2 might. When I'm attacking or defending, I have +2. With the buff, gets 5. It's just a really good early game card. Contest the board like very well, and it makes your opponent like forced to make some showdown decisions that either waste resources or waste units. We're running orange, so first mate is really, really good. This is like a really strong orange card for 3 energy, 3 might. First mate, when you play me, ready another unit. So obviously you want to combo this into something. Sometimes there's going to be situations where you just need a little bit more might on board. But readying Udyr with first mate makes all the crazy combos possible, which we'll get to in a second. So, very crucial card for the deck because getting something ready and then moving in is something your opponent really wouldn't expect. So, we're running 3 Wheel of Waters, 3 First Mates, and then 3 Kraken Hunter. Really good card, either early game or late game if you're coming from behind, because you could spend buffs. So if you have if you have 2, so we'll just go over it real quick. I'm sorry. So 3 energy, 2 power, 5 might with an accelerate cost of 1 and a power. Assault +1. So when it's attacking, it is at 6 might. As you play me, you may spend any number of buffs as an additional cost. Reduce my cost by a power for each buff you spend. So you can spend 2 buffs, right? And it is a 3, 5. So 3 cost unit with 5 might. You pay the accelerate cost, and then it's going in for 6, and it enters ready. That's really strong. It is good reactive card, and it is a good defensive card too. If you're just gonna try and want to build up your base, the assault one is crucial. The accelerate is good. The fact that we're running 3 ways to buff things is really good. So it's just one of the, I'd say with orange, they have the best champion units, right, and some of the best units. This isn't a champion unit, but this card is top 8 cards in the game, I think, in my opinion. We are then running Stand United 2 of for 3 energy. It has a hidden ability, and it is at action speed. Buff a friendly unit. So we run buffs. There's no instance to buff something. Give an additional +1 to friendly units this turn. So I'm sorry, buffs give an additional +1 to friends. So you get 2, right? So you can buff something, right? And anything that has a buff gets an extra might, which is really strong. Really swings the game in your favor. It's just unexpected because not a lot of people play that card. Arena Bar. It is a gear. It costs 3 energy, and then you can buff an exhausted friendly unit. So if something's tapped out, you can throw a buff on that really easily. There's a lot of cool tricks you could do with this, and we'll get into the whole entire Udyr shenanigans in just a second. Just bear with me, guys. Then we have Kiana, probably the top 3 champion units in the game, I believe, just because it is so good. So for 4 energy, 1 power, 4 might, it has deflect, which is strong, right? And when I conquer, draw 1 or channel 1 rune exhausted. So it's more than likely going to be buffed, right? So it has 5 might, it has deflect, and when it conquers, you can kind of choose for what situation is either you're lacking in runes, right? You've been burning some runes, recycling them back into your rune deck, or you're just short on your hand and you can just draw a card. So yeah, just really good, really good. And then we're playing Wizened Elder. I know you don't really see this card a lot, but just bear with me. It's clean 4 for 4, right? And when I'm buffed, I have an additional +1. So really, because we have so many ways to buff our units, it's really a 4/6, and a 4/6 with no cost whatsoever, like the Grim Patron, right, which needs you to sacrifice something, is just really good. By all means, if you can play a 4 energy cost unit that has 6 might, you play it. That's why people run Grim Patron, because it's just so good. And then the bread and butter of the deck, the main man himself, Udyr. So let's go over this card. I'll go over some combos. 6 energy, 1 power, 6 might. Spend my buff. Choose one you've not chosen this turn, right? And you can pick one of these 4. Deal 2 damage to a unit at a battlefield. Stun a unit at a battlefield. Ready me and give me ganking. So what does that mean? If you have enough runes, obviously. This is going to be initiated in the mid game, right? If you have a lot of resource management, right? If you're on top of your resource management, you can do a lot of crazy things. When it is buffed, you can spend the buff to ready it. Well, we have Arena Bar, we have things in Pit Rookie, right? And we have the Lee-Sin. So those are 3 ways that we are able, and Stand United. Those are 4 ways that we're able to buff Udyr. It can enter ready, right? By playing a Pit Rookie or just using Lee-Sin's ability. You pay the buff, right? Then you you use Arena Bar first, right, to add a buff onto Udyr. You spend the buff to either shoot something on a battlefield, right, or you can ready it. So the buff is gone, right? Then you use Lee-Sin's ability to put another buff on it. It is swinging in for a 7, right? Now you can't use the ready me again, but next turn you can give it ganking. Once it's holding onto a battlefield, there's all these crazy combos that you can do. Stunning a unit is effective. Now the one thing to consider is that ability effects like this in the game can only be played outside of showdowns, right? So if it's sitting on a base, right, and there's no like showdowns happening, it's not at action speed. It's just like at a normal spell speed, if you know what I mean, like charm and stuff. But dude, you'll see in the gameplay coming up, guys. I was able to play Udyr. I was able to give it a buff, right? I was able to ready it, swing in on a battlefield, buff it again, shoot something from across the board, stun a unit, move in another unit onto the other battlefield because it was stunned. It didn't do damage. I had enough might to kill something while surviving, double conquering. Like, it's just insane, dude. The ganking is really relevant, and it's sitting at always at 7 might because you always consistently and constantly want to keep it buffed, right? So it's out of reach from that breakpoint from like Singularity. It's out of reach from Falling Comet, from Void Seeker. It's just all those spell cards that are causing a lot of trouble for a lot of unit-based decks, if you know what I mean. But guys, like, the possibilities are with this is we're just like it's literally the tip of the iceberg. There's so many cool combos that you can do, and I suggest you guys just play the deck because once you start to feel like how good it is, I'm like, oh, you're just gonna be like, oh, okay, now I understand why we were so hype about this. But other than that, yeah, guys, give it a try. The deck list will be in the description, right? It's tons of fun, and if you are tired of playing Victor decks or any of the other stuff, or you want to just try something different, 100% give this a try. You'll definitely like it. So I've rambled on for enough. Thanks for tuning in, guys. The gameplay is coming up, right? If you haven't already, please subscribe. You enter yourself to win a Proving Grounds box set. With that being said, thank you very much for your support. I can't thank you guys. You guys are enough. You guys are awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful day and enjoy the gameplay. Peace. What is up, guys? So, back into the game with a little bit of commentary. We've already done mulligans. The battlefields are Voidgate and Targon's Peak. My opponent went first, and he played a Watchful Sentry with his 2 runes. I then get to draw an extra rune, where I commit into a Wielder of Water. It's just a really good, strong turn 1 card if you're going second. I'm sorry, not turn 1 card. If your first turn, if you are going second. Utilizing that mana, curving out very well. Our hand is Zonia's Hourglass, Arena Bar, First Mate, and a Stalwart Poro, which is the Shield Poro. My opponent then plays his Lux, indicating that he's running big spells, maybe even a Time Warp combo. So then at this point, I'm looking at my hand. I got my Udyr from the draw, which is crucial. I move into Voidgate with Wielder of Water. The thing with this matchup, if you're facing Kai'Sa or Lux, you want to be careful of Voidgate, because that extra 1 damage, they are generally running blue spells that do damage, so Falling Comet, Singularity, are stuff that you have to worry about, making sure that you have the buffs and making sure that breakpoint is out of that range of 7. Right? So I play my Poro, and I play my First Mate to trigger First Mate's ability, readying Poro and moving into Targon's Peak. It allows me to ready 2 runes at the end of my turn. I then decide to pass turn over to my opponent, where he's gonna start making some decisions. I have 2 units, 1 on each battlefield, ahead on points by 2. I will double hold if he does not take care of this right now. He's reading enough energy for Singularity, so he can easily clear up the battlefields. However, I wanted to make sure he burns Singularity relatively early with cheap units, rather than when I start building up my combo and he's hitting Udyrs or Lee Sin's or any type of big threats, which I build the deck around. So this is initially what my game plan. You have those cheap units for a reason, either to score points, or if you're going to be able to double hold, then he can. So there's the Singularity. So he decides to target both of my units. They'll just end up dying. There's nothing I can really do about that, which is fine. They did their job. They scored their points, and they're a relatively cheap units, like I said before. Didn't set me behind, rather got me ahead, and then he wasted one of his big responses of resources just because he probably didn't draw into any other units. But that's the way the deck is built. So he then commits to a Ravenbloom student, it looks like. So then I switch back over to my turn. I'm really good at resource management, so I just want to make sure I have enough to kind of respond. So then I get my Udyr, and it was very important that I'm able to spend a my Legend's ability, right, to get my buff on my Udyr, and then this is when the shenanigans start, guys. It is so, his abilities are so good at reacting to a lot of different situations. So with my first mate, I decided to conquer the Targon's Peak to get my 3rd point. At the end of the turn, I'll ready my runes, and yeah, dude, Udyr is so good when it has a buff on it. It becomes a huge threat. It is out of reach out of most of the spells. I'm looking at my hourglass. I'm like, yeah, I might as well, you know. Commit to. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I decided not to. I don't think. Or did I? Because the issue is like if the first mate does die, then it is the one that's recalled. Well, technically it's not dead. It just gets recalled back to base. And I kind of wanted to save it for Udyr, as a like a 2nd level of protection, right? If it does get removed somehow. It is the Lux deck that's running yellow, so Hidden Blade, hard casting Hidden Blade is something to always consider. So I decided to hold back on my Zonia's Hourglass because I want to save it for if the first mate does die, or if Udyr is starting to move around and assessing threats, right? Being aggressive by taking and ganking and moving all over the place. Then I want to use my Hourglass to make sure that the Udyr gets recalled back to my base. So, on his turn, he's trying to make some decisions of what he can do. The Udyr is a big threat for this deck because it is out of reach unless it goes to Voidgate from Singularity. Falling Comet does not touch it. A lot of other spells doesn't touch it as well. He realizes this is a game of units right now. So he will play Recruit the Vanguard, giving him 4 unit tokens. Now, at this point, I wasn't too sure what he was running. He does get to draw from Recruit the Vanguard because of his Legend's ability, Lux's Legend ability. And I'm not sure if he's running Grand Stratagem and or... no, just Grand Stratagem, yeah. So he moves in with the Ravenbloom student. It does get a 3, and I want to save the first mate, so I decide to discipline because I also wanted to draw a card. And then I get my Mask of Winning Games from that top deck, which is insane because that card is ridiculous when you start readying Udyr with a buff. After it's ready already been moving, then you can ready it by spending the buff, then you can shoot things for 2 damage. Just an incredibly good card to have when you're moving with one thing. Does not react when you have 2 units onto a battlefield, or you're moving in with 2 units. So here I have some things. So I score for holding. Then I believe I want to move in. Yeah, I'm just like looking at all the things that I could do. I can only shoot things at a battlefield. So without any units from his end, starting to conquer stuff. So I kind of decide to move into Voidgate, which is a little bit of risk. However, that's when I wanted to commit to the Zonia's Hourglass, I believe. So I put Arena Bar on there because I can, and then I decide to play 2 for Mask of Winning Games or Mask of Foresight. I spend a rune to decide to hide my Zonia's Hourglass onto the battlefield with the Udyr at Voidgate. Mainly because Singularity is a thing, right? It is in reach with Singularity. However, that Hourglass is going to really not only like him waste a resource, but at the same time like just save my Udyr. And then now I have like 2 sources to buff him, so I can use 2 of his abilities per turn. And that's really strong. Either moving him, readying him, ganking, shooting things, stunning units. Stunning units in this matchup isn't really something that you're going to have to like worry about, honestly, because he's running either recruits, right? And or some tiny dudes. I guess Echo in this matchup would something that I would have to consider. I'm not too sure if he runs Echo. However, it's just nothing too worrisome, troublesome when it comes to might units. I just have to worry about the spells and his control game. So moving over to his turn, he decides to tap a bunch of runes, tapping 2 probably for a progress day, I think. Oh no, there's the Singularity. Now that's exactly what I was worried about. So Void Gate triggers 1 damage onto him. Also attacks my first mate. Right, so Singularity does kill, or I do tap Zonia's Hourglass. Oh, I think in this situation we actually forgot about Void Gate. I remember now. Yeah, so Udyr should have died. I think we in like a couple seconds we do actually remember that Void Gate actually is there. Yeah, there we go. There it is. So, yeah, I decided to bring it back with the Zonia's Hourglass because we completely forgot about it. So, we've reset this board state. And then, yeah, so we're good to go. The buff comes back on it because it is recalled. It is not killed or anything. We decided because, like, he was able to rewind the game in his favor. So, you know, it was only fair that I would have been able to pick the Udyr. So now he's going to move in with some recruits, right, to conquer the one Targon's Peak. And scores a point there. Moves in here. Scores a point there. I got nothing to do. I got nothing to respond to. However, I do have an Udyr on base with some buffs, and this is when all the crazy stuff happens where I can just kind of win the game from here. And the fact that I get another arena bar, I get a pit rookie, I have everything in my hand. I have 3 instances of being able to buff Udyr. So he's already ready, right? He's going to move in with 7 to Targon's Peak, taking that battlefield scoring up to 6. I then spend the buff to ready Udyr. You can only use 1 of those abilities per turn. Right, so he goes down to 6 might. He doesn't have any resources. He's burned a lot with Singularity. Also, Mask of Foresight triggered, so I get 7 might on him because I went to attack, right? I then spend the buff to ready him, right? He's at 7. Now he's at 8 because I used Pit Rookie to buff him up. I will spend the buff to give him ganking, right? And then he gets to move over to the battlefield, conquer the other one. So it is a conquer, right? You're spending the buff to ready, buffing him again, spending the buff to move over by giving him ganking. Insane flexibility, insane speed with Udyr. If there was also the Ravenbloom student, right, I could have technically been able to first use the arena bar to give him another buff to shoot the Ravenbloom student out of existence with 3 damage, even if he played a spell to save it, because of Void Gate. And yeah, I ended up tapping arena bar to give him a buff on here to have him nice and safe. And yeah, the fact that, you know, Udyr is just able to do stuff like this by just moving, readying, shooting things, stunning units. In this matchup, obviously stunning wasn't really necessary. But yeah, insane, absolutely crazy. I absolutely love Udyr. And at this point, he's just looking at the board state. I've got units on my base, and he concedes in a couple seconds because he's only at 2. I'm at 7. I can easily double conquer even if he gets rid of Udyr. And yeah, because I'm able to buff with Lee Sin, another arena bar, and the fact that I have mask gives me +1. That's potentially up to 3 might on any unit. So no matter what math or what order he decides to move in with the units, I just can take it from here. And that's it. At that point, he kind of just concedes, and it's good game. So yeah, guys, definitely check it out. I think it's incredibly important for people to play the decks that they don't usually play, just to understand them and to see how they navigate and how they play, so that you can counter them, so you can know what to expect. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the end of the video. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace!